Could Jakob Fugger be the richest man of all time? Was a German businessman who died 500 years ago really as wealthy as today's super billionaires? Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates? How was he able to grow so wealthy back then? How did he influence kings, emperors and popes? And what does he share with today's multimillionaires?
He worked very, very hard and was extremely disciplined. The richest man of his day. He was efficient at using the innovations of the time.
Augsburg merchant Jakob Fugger was so wealthy that even during his lifetime they called him Jakob the Rich. He's widely regarded as one of the richest men in history. One American historian estimated his fortune at an equivalent of around 400 billion US dollars. Only one man today has more, Elon Musk. As of 2025, he has around 500 billion US dollars. It's said that Jakob Fugger's fortune represented roughly 10% of Europe's gross domestic product at the time. Elon Musk is at only about 1.7% of the US GDP.
Of course, from a scholarly perspective, comparing across 500 or 600 years is extremely difficult. In a capitalist world, we're now living with completely different economic dimensions. Still, in his historical context, he can certainly be considered the richest man of his time, of the world even.
The Bavarian city of Augsburg. Jakob Fugger was born here in 1459. Back then, the city was a major trading hub for the textile industry. His grandfather had already become wealthy as a wholesale cloth merchant.
At that time, Augsburg was incredibly important. It had developed into a major trading hub for fustian woven fabric, which was in great demand in Italy. It made Augsburg a metropolis of its era, with an economic power comparable to New York today.
Young Jakob was sent to Venice for his education and showed extraordinary talent for commerce and banking. After returning home, Jakob Fugger and his brothers Ulrich and Georg began granting enormous loans to the nobility, including Duke Sigmund of Tyrol and later Emperor Maximilian I. These were amounts that came with great risk. So what did they receive as collateral?
Take Emperor Maximilian as one example. He couldn't easily repay what Jakob Fugger had loaned him. So he granted Fugger the rights to exploit the mountain's blessing. In other words, Fugger was allowed to mine for precious metals himself, or have them mined, and he was entitled to purchase them at a fixed price, lower than what they'd fetch on the open market.
But that was just the beginning. Jakob Fugger saw even more potential here. He invested in a complete modernization of mining and its infrastructure. That enabled him to extract much greater quantities of silver and copper. Selling that made him a fortune like nothing ever seen before. With the new mining technology, he had created a monopoly. Creating monopolies is also big with the tech billionaires of our age. It helps to get in early, whether it's the computer industry with Bill Gates and Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, which dominates the world of social media, or Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, who wrote the book on online commerce.
Jakob Fugger was among the entrepreneurs and merchants who created something new and innovative within the opportunities of his time. The same can absolutely be said about today's tech billionaires, especially in the United States.
Jakob Fugger expanded. He built a well-organized network of trading outposts, factories spanning across Europe. He traded in silver and copper, but also in spices. He bought and sold products from India and the Americas. Along with that cargo, he also sent messages, creating a communication network that gave him the edge.
What we already see with Jakob Fugger is regular business correspondence, from the trading outposts to Augsburg. All that information flowed into one location, where it was analyzed alongside other information from other sources. Even things that might seem economically irrelevant, like the Pope's health. Were a new Pope to be elected, what kind of person would he be? What would his stance towards the Fuggers be? That was crucial information. You had to stay informed.
A lot of money will get you a lot of things. Jakob Fugger moved into a palace in Augsburg, the city's largest building at the time.
After purchasing them in 1511, Jakob Fugger lived in the so-called Fuggerhäuser. He also conducted his business there. Goods were stored there, the business offices were located there, as well as reception rooms.
His businesses took Jakob Fugger further into Europe and onto what was the New World. He was expanding more and more, much like Elon Musk does today. As the private owner of SpaceX, he even influences what happens in space.
Entrepreneurs don't stop being entrepreneurs simply because they've achieved a certain social status or material wealth. They're bound to the continued development and fate of their companies.
Without Jakob Fugger's support, would Charles V have become emperor? Would St. Peter's Basilica in Rome have ever been built without his money? Would the Vatican have a Swiss guard? Would the Habsburgs have become so influential in Europe? Jakob Fugger financed more than just churches and chapels. He also backed the emperor's election campaigns and his wars. He secured his own rise into the ranks of the nobility. Since Pope Leo X owed him money, Jakob Fugger also received a share of the profits from the church's letters of indulgence. He used his wealth to shape politics and history all over Europe. Can today's super-rich still have that much influence over the world?
With today's political conditions, individuals actually have a harder time achieving direct influence. We have a different media landscape, different information policies, and generally a public that is critical. If we think about the high-tech billionaires in the US, it isn't just one person at the top.
Jakob Fugger created a lasting legacy in Augsburg, particularly with these modest houses which he built in 1521. The Fuggerei, Europe's oldest social housing project. Even some 500 years after Fugger's death, people who have fallen on hard times can live here. And they're still paying the original rent. It amounted to a worker's weekly wage, one Rhenish guilder a year. That's incredibly about $1.
Our predecessors didn't adjust the amount for inflation, currency changes, or anything. So that sum has remained essentially the same, 88 euro cents. That's the base rent for a year. It still has to be paid as per the founder's wishes, because paying even a tiny amount is representative of giving something back.
Jakob Fugger is ever present in the lives of the Fuggerei's 150 residents. Each of them has to pray for him 3 times a day. The devout founder of the project believed he could thus ensure his own salvation. For many residents, all required to be Catholic, that's no problem.
This is my pride and joy, my best friend. That good man said he only wanted us to say 3 prayers a day, and it just flows like a mantra. When I'm weeding the garden, for instance, it's not just 3 times, it's 10.
To this day, descendants of Jakob Fugger run his foundations, all on a voluntary basis.
There's a quote from him that by the grace of God he received this wealth, and that it was important to him to give something back, especially to Augsburg. The foundation, as is written over the gates, was created as an example for others to follow.
Donating and establishing foundations is still popular with today's super-rich. Bill Gates' foundation to improve global health and education is just one example. The Chan Zuckerberg Initiative was created by Mark Zuckerberg and his wife to promote equal opportunity. But just how selfless are projects like these?
What's difficult about this form of philanthropy is that what the money goes towards is determined privately and individually. It's dependent upon individual interests, what they choose to fund, and what they choose not to.
Jakob Fugger also established St. Anne's Chapel in Augsburg. This is where the merchant is buried. His marriage remained childless. In his will, he named his nephew Anton as his successor. So what became of the Fugger family fortune?
After the 30 Years' War, the family council, the generation responsible for the foundation at the time, realized that relying on liquid capital assets as a financial base came with too many risks. They decided to use the money to buy land and property instead.
500 years from now, what will remain of our super-rich?
Bill Gates will probably become a historical figure because he was one of the early pioneers. Bezos and Musk, I'd be more skeptical about.
To be thought of and appreciated 500 years after your death, these days, that's not something money easily buys.